Oh yeah, it's been 2.2 seconds since I've been on here with y'all, man, and I need y'all to come through tonight, man, so we can figure out what's going on. I need y'all to help me out with this, cause I've been hearing too much talk. I've been on a little bit on Twitter. I've been on Instagram. There's a couple jokers out here be mixing our name up with, you know what I'm saying, other cities, and trying to blend us all together. So we gonna have a nice conversation. I know that the impeachment shit got everybody's attention, but if you took history class, and if you remember how the impeachment shit went when they talked about Bill Clinton, you already know is a step in the right direction, but it's still got a lot more to do, man. So I'm on here tonight, man, and I want to talk to y'all, man. I need y'all to help me out, man. Man. So I was watching a video with Talib Kweli, and he was talking to damn, I forgot that fast who he was talking. He was talking to Too Short, and they get to talking about Tupac, and Talib Kweli was like, yeah, Tupac was from the DMV area down in Baltimore, and I was like, wait, whoa. I mean, no disrespect, but I had to, and it was live, so I had to go back and like, man, hold on, Slim. Nah, Tupac wasn't from the DMV area. Tupac was from Baltimore. When he left New York to come here, he was in Baltimore. He wasn't in the DMV area, right? And then I was listening to Omar Terrell. That his name, Omar Terrell, and he was on, doing his high DMV dudes talk to females. I was like, nah, hold on, Slim, nah. So I need some of my DC people and my Maryland people. I don't know too many people in Virginia right now that grew up in this area, but if y'all on here, y'all can chime in too, right? But what is the big difference between DC, Maryland, and Virginia? Because the DMV slogan, I'm going to just tell y'all flat out, man. The DMV slogan got started by my man, Dre All Day in the Paint, man. He was the one that brung, a lot of people don't know this, Pimp Town International and Dre All Day in the Paint was the first person years back when we first started doing cookouts at Nova Avenue. If you on here and you know about Nova Avenue, great nights. But how do we get from bunching everybody together DMV? I'm not from the DMV. I'm not from the DMV. I'm from Southeast DC. That's where I'm from. I'm from Southeast DC. So I need to figure out where we at with this DMV thing. Maryland, DC, Virginia. Nah. And I don't even like the way it's district, Maryland, Virginia. Nah. DMV, nah. So there are some similarities from dudes that grew up in DC and Maryland. I can't really say there's a lot of similarities with dudes that grew up in Virginia, because I ain't grew up in Virginia. I was born and raised in DC. I think back in 2005, 2006, I moved to Maryland, and I've been in Maryland since 2005, 2006. And so, yeah, Black, we don't even want to talk about them cookouts, Slim. Nova Avenue, all I could do was, man, give a salute, man. Chris, what's up, Chris? Tracy, what's up, Tracy? So, I'm here to talk about this phrase, DMV. What does that really mean? Do we bunch each other together and talk about, DC, Maryland, Virginia? Because DC is different than Maryland. Maryland's different than DC. And Maryland and DC is different from Virginia. We talking about from neighborhoods to funding to the way the police the community. I know to this day, I still don't like to drive to Virginia. When people be talking about, yeah, we out VA, all right, somebody coming to get me, or I'm riding with somebody, because I just don't like to drive out there, man. Them blue lights, I just hate dealing with them blue lights, man. Not the red and blue, but the all blue. If you know Virginia, especially parts of Montgomery County, that's them all blue lights. You see them blue lights, it's a different story, man. They treat you different. They want to see your license registration. If you ain't got no insurance, if anything messed up, you getting locked up and they towing your shit. You know what I'm saying? So I was having a conversation, and it was a little bit stunning. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like people tend to think that the DMV is all lumped together, like it's all one thing, and it's not. It's a big difference between each place. A big difference. I can guarantee you that if you ask anybody about their demographic, or you know what I'm saying, where they grew up or how they was raised, they will tell you that it's a big difference. You know what I'm saying, compared to, you know, where other people live. You know what I mean? And so in my mind, I'm like, what's the difference? Can y'all tell me some of the differences? Because I'm trying to figure out what some of the differences are. I'm trying to figure out what some of the differences are compared to I mean, I'm not gonna leave Virginia out, but I just want to know, you know, if anybody can give me any, you know what I'm saying, any differences in terms of, you know, what differences are, what makes Maryland different than DC, what makes DC different than Maryland. If there's anybody on here that grew up in Maryland or DC and now live in Virginia for a certain amount of time, you can chime in as well. But I'm just trying to get this conversation started because it's been something that it's been on my mind, it's been on my heart. I'm sipping, so I just want to know what's the difference, man. I got my Wet Willie's cup, and it ain't no Wet Willie's in here, but you know. No, sir. No driving in the Commonwealth, sir. Not at all. I mean, but you be out there all the time, Black. But you be on business though. So I mean, you be suited and booted for them people. So them peoples pull you over. You ain't doing you alright anyway, because you look like you a motherfucking businessman on a mission anyway. So it ain't no big deal. But I'm just trying to figure out what's the difference between, you know what I'm saying, DC, Maryland, and Virginia, man. Because I can remember. I mean, just off snow days. Let's just talk about the snow days. I mean, since ain't nobody trying to help me out, let's just talk about the snow days, man. You know what I'm saying? I remember back in the day, man, it could be 7, 8, 9 inches of snow on the ground. And when you wake up and you know it's snowing, they tell you at 11 o'clock before you go to bed, it's going to snow tomorrow. We're going to give you all the updates for school closings tomorrow. One of the biggest differences between DC and Maryland is when it snowed, Maryland didn't have to go to school. We already knew that. Us? Oh yeah, we had to take that hike, Slim. We had to get them Super Timberland boots or whatever them boots from Oshkosh B'gosh that my mother used to buy us, man, and we had to get to stepping, man. We had to go to school, Joe. I mean, we might have had a 2-hour delay. Sometimes we didn't have a 2-hour delay. And I'm talking about DC public schools back in the day, man. The workers that worked at DC public schools back in the day worked their ass. So I remember Mr. Gray. I remember this dude by name. His name was Mr. Gray, light-skinned dude, up Henley, had all the little freckles on his face. Man, him and his mob used to be out there cleaning the parking lot, cleaning the playground, cleaning the sidewalk. I mean, we had to go to school, y'all. That's one of the differences I can remember back in the day is when it snowed. Like I say, it could be, you know what I'm saying, 5 or 6 inches on the ground. And it was like, oh yeah, Maryland schools closed, Virginia schools closed, DC schools 2 hours late. You be like, 2 hours late? Come on, man, what the fuck? And your mother looking at you like, yeah, so you can get you a couple hours extra sleep, but yeah, I'll wake y'all up in a minute so y'all can go to school. You know what I'm saying? Like for real. Okay, Erica, so you say it's usually DC natives who have an issue with the term DMV. So what would be the issue of the term DMV? Because when you look at the term DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia, it's like you bunch it all together. And it's three different situations. DC is a different situation. Maryland is a different situation. And Virginia is definitely a different situation. So I'm just trying to figure out when you say DC natives, because I'm a DC native. I'm a native of DC. I've been here all my life. But I'm trying to get a better understanding when you say natives have an issue with the term DMV. What would be the issue? What would be the issue? Tracy said I can't be explained. It's just ain't nobody, and I absolutely mean nobody from DC says DMV. I hate it. I mean, and listen, I mean, I ain't gonna lie, Tracy. When I go out the country, and I hear people say, you know, are you from the DMV area? I'll be like, nah, I'm from DC. And they be like frowning like, oh, DC, oh, okay. But that's the DMV area, right? I'm like, it's the area, but I'm from DC. They be like, oh, okay. So, I mean, it's a term that's used real lightly. You know what I'm saying? It's a term that's used real lightly. So I'm just trying to figure out what would be one of the biggest, I don't want to say issues, but what would be one of the biggest concerns of bunching Maryland, DC, and Virginia all together and giving it like a melting pot? Because even though, when you live in DC, you go across the street, 7th Avenue, Livingston Road, boom, you right there in Maryland, you down Eastover. And then if you come back the opposite way, if you go up if you go up 7th Avenue, like you're going towards Hobo, then you end up in Maryland again, the opposite side of District Heights or Capitol Heights or whatever you want to call it. Then if you go down the hill, you starting to go in the northeast. So I mean, it's kind of close. Even if we go down past the harbor, you know what I mean. We get on 295, we pass the harbor and go across the bridge. Boom, now we in Virginia. You know what I'm saying? But it's close, but it's three different situations. And I want to have this conversation to kind of hear from y'all what y'all terminology is and what the biggest difference. What's the biggest difference of the whole DMV thing? You know what I mean? Because, like I say, somebody just mentioned that DC natives don't like the term DMV because what? I haven't heard why we don't like it. I mean, me personally, I don't necessarily dislike the term DMV, but it does not specify where I'm from. You know what I mean? I'm from this area, yes, but I'm from Southeast DC to be technical. You know what I mean? So I know some people who from this area, they get real technical about where they from. And I noticed that sometimes when I go out, like I just recently was out Virginia, out Tyson's Corner, and I went to a bar called Randy's. Nice little chill bar. It's one of the parent companies of Sweetwater Tavern, and so they got some of the same food menus or whatever. And so we at the bar, and it's some people that's there, and they loud. They like extra loud, and you can hear them talking, and you can tell they either from Maryland or they from DC. But the more you kind of ear hustle, and that's just me, the more I'm ear hustling, I can hear that they from Maryland, but now they live in Virginia, you know what I'm saying? Or either they live in Maryland and they come in, party or drink in Virginia, because that's what I do. I mean, I like to branch out a little bit, to go a little further, to get the customer service, to get, better food, just get a better, vibe, because it's hard to, I'm not saying it's hard, but it's hard for me, I think, in my mind, to socialize in the PG County area, because it's just so much, it's so much immaturity around here. You know what I mean? Like people don't know how to handle their liquor. There's a lot of people who, just instead of them minding their own business, they minding your business. You know what I'm saying? So I like to branch out and go a little further out. And so when I had this conversation a couple times with the homies, even my man Hood was like, man, this is going to be an ongoing conversation, because there's going to be so many people saying that Maryland and DC is the same, Virginia might have some similarities. And so I'm just trying to figure out what the similarities are, because I gave y'all one already off the break. I gave y'all one. When it snowed and they said 4, 5, 6, 7 inches of snow, the PG was out of school. Maryland didn't have to go to school. DCPS 2 hours late, and we had to hike our ass to school, Joe. That's one of the fondest memories. Sam, what's up, Sam? That's one of the fondest memories that I can think of in my mind, when, to make me think of the difference between DC and Maryland. Because back in the day, like I say, when it snowed, we had to go to school. We had to take that hike. While the youngest from Maryland be across on the footbridge looking at us like, man, these niggas going to school, and they over there playing snowball, fighting, all that. But then we'll go to school, come back, and then we'll walk on that side and tear their ass up with some snowballs. So I'm just trying to figure out what's the main difference. You know what I'm saying? Because it's got to be some differences. Y'all got to help me out, man. Come on, y'all got to help me out. So Nicole say, do you think it's more because there is a pride for DC natives to represent where they are from, especially 4 sections? I think DC natives show their pride in where they grew up. The same pride doesn't exist in Maryland and Virginia. Ooh. Damn, Nicole. I like that. So I would say Um, to answer your question, Nicole, I would say it's somewhat of a badge of honor. You know what I mean? Because I do have, I'm gonna just show you. I do have a few. You know what I'm saying? I do have a few tats. This one is the Washington Nationals. I don't know if y'all can see this one. That one is Southeast. This one is the Blue Knight. This one is 295. And then I got the Monument and all that on here. So I've been working on this for a couple years. Then I got the 3 stars, 2 bars on this side. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this side is the spiritual side, but so I do rep 6th Street Southeast. That's where I'm from. You know what I mean? But I understand that I have been living in Maryland, have a Maryland driver's license, been living in Maryland, like I said, for about maybe like 12, 14 years now, something like that. And so I do think there is a significance where, people from DC kind of want people to know that that's where they from, depending on whether they from Northeast, Southeast, North, you know what I'm saying, whatever. And there are neighborhoods in Maryland who rep where they from. I got a man, when I went to Rose, I grew up with, me and him still tough to this day. He grew up he grew up in the Oxon Hill area. And so they used to hang out at Oxon Hill Village. And so they repped Oxon Hill Village. So when we used to go out to go see Northeast Groovers, it was, 103 Oxon Hill Village and 6th Street. And then since we knew each other, we used to go to the joint and we used to just rock together, you know what I'm saying? But we still was separated because, when it was halftime, we would split up. They would be in their corner or do what they do, and we would be in our, you know what I'm saying? It was mutual love, but it was still, we was representing where we was from regardless. And it was separated because they knew they was from Maryland. We knew we was from DC, but it was still all love. I'm not taking away the love factor. I'm just saying, what is the main factors you think that people, natives from DC don't like the term DMV? Graylin, what's up, Graylin? I think the only folks that make sure they're different or separated are the people that's from the area. See, so when you say the area, I already know what you mean, because when we first came to Dale State, everybody was trying to figure out what you meant. And we didn't say, when we was at Dale State, we ain't say DMV. We said from home. Oh, what's up with cuz? Oh, no, they from home. Oh, they from home? Oh, I bet. So from home meant you was either from Maryland or DC. I don't think that it was a lot of people that went to Dale State that lived in Virginia, even though I know there's a couple people that live in Virginia now that went to Dale State, but at the time, I don't think that they were, when they was going home for break, winter break or whatever, I don't think they was going to Virginia. I think they was either going to DC or Maryland or, going, wherever they live, Pennsylvania, Atlanta, whatever, so you got a point there. And so so Nicole said you got to figure it's also reinforced in the music, language, and culture. It's very specific. I think that is why DC natives get offended when PG folks, etc., rep DC culture falsely. Ooh, Nicole, you bringing the heat. And so I would say I was talking to a youngin'. I was talking to Essay. For everybody that's on here, everybody that know Essay, he went to Dale State. And I was talking to Essay, and I was interviewing his son. And his son was saying how the Maryland youngins now, they Bammers. Like, they do all the hot Bama shit. They do all the robbing. They want to show everybody their guns. They got all this weed and drugs on them. And the jokers from D.C., a little more laid back. Still got the weed, still got the drugs, still got the guns, but it's, it's more, you know what I'm saying, not out in the open. And the Maryland youngins has got it all out in the open. Like, they want people to know, oh, I'm from Maryland and this one I'm doing. And I'm like, for a long time, I mean, I ain't gonna say it's always been like that, but it's a learned history where, when you grew up, depending on what area you grew up in, you know what I mean? The area you grew up in, you saw other dudes, carried a certain way. And as you got older, you decided you was going to carry it a certain way. And you just carried it on how you saw, how you was taught. And I know for me, the youngins that grew up under me, I'm proud of a lot of them dudes, man, because they started out, rough and rocky. And some of them still trying to get their shit together, and it take us longer to get our act together. But you know what I mean. For the most part, you know, a lot of them, you know, they get it now. They understand that they got to get jobs. They understand that they still got to be on the block and bang. They still need a 9 to 5 so they can, you know, be at work. So they ain't outside when the police riding around at 10 o'clock in the morning and they the only ones outside. That's going to make you look like a magnet. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, Nicole, you make a great point. I'm not going to say if people from PG rep DC falsely, because you can't rep DC falsely if you're not from DC. So you pretty much repping Maryland the way you rep Maryland. But if you're not from DC, you can't rep DC falsely if that's not where you from. Now, when you say the culture, now that's a whole different conversation, because that culture is Maryland, DC, Virginia, right? But then somebody would say, well, no, it's DC. But then like, nah, but we right here. It's a border. You know what I mean? So it's an ongoing conversation. But I like that comment though. Granny said, if you're not from this area, you loop all the area into one group. Right. Exactly. And that's what I was saying earlier. When I go out the country, you know, when people hear me talk, they automatically say, oh, you from the DMV? And I'll be like, no, I'm from DC. They be like, oh, okay. So I don't know if when they hear me say I'm from DC, if that makes sense to them, or if it, you know, makes them feel a certain type of way or whatever. I don't know. So Erica say DC natives don't like being lumped in with Maryland and Virginia. I think the term was created to explain to others who don't live here where they're from. For example, when you say Maryland, out-of-towners automatically assume it's Baltimore. That's true. And then you say, if you say Virginia, people might assume Virginia Beach, Hampton, Norfolk, etc. It's a way to explain that I live in the parts of Maryland or Virginia that's near DC. I would take that. I would take that, Erica. I would definitely take that. I mean, I'm sorry, Anika. I would take that. And so that's what I mean. Go-Go is another element that reinforces the ownership of DC culture. It grew and continues to bind and the pride. Yeah, I mean, and the DC Council just named it the official music for DC, which was a beautiful thing. I mean, shout out to the DC Council for doing that. But I mean, I think, Anika, you hit it on the head. I mean, I think that it is a thing where, you know, people from DC want to separate themselves and make sure they know they not lumped up with Maryland and Virginia. Even though, you know, like I say, I got a lot of homies. Even when I grew up on the South Side, I had a lot of homies that I dealt with back in the day that was from Maryland. I would have to say that first and foremost. I had a lot of homies that was on the Maryland side, and they was not considered. I remember when we used to have the term Maryland Mike. Remember we used to say, oh, that nigga Maryland Mike. You know what I'm saying? And Maryland Mike was pretty much, you know what I'm saying, meaning that he was a Maryland Bama. You know what I'm saying? And I had a couple dudes that was from Maryland, Oxon Hill Village, River Terrace, you know what I'm saying, on the Maryland side, Livingston Road, you know what I'm saying? I knew a lot of dudes that was from the Maryland side, but they was legit though. They was cool and they was legit. Where when I say legit, meaning that, you know, we did certain things and they seemed to be legit. I would say that. But then when you get further in, you know, into Maryland, you know what I'm saying, past 202, because everything from 202, Kentland, you know, Washington View. I mean, trust me, I know. I've been out here. So I remember one time I went around Washington View, I was just like, oh, this the hood for real over here. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I'm saying. It's like until you really branch out and you see these different hoods, you know what I'm saying? You know, Kent Village, King Square, Washington View. You like, damn, it's some hoods over here. And so these dudes is repping they area the way they rep it, but then when you come on the DC side, we carry it a little different. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember when the dudes up north was coming down, you know what I'm saying, from New York. I remember specifically, it was a video that was out years ago, where it was a dude from New York, and he was talking shit to some DC dudes, and the dudes beat his ass and was like, welcome to DC. Like crushed him. You know what I'm saying? And I think that was not a beef, but it was like one of those, like you saying, to solidify, you know what I'm saying, where we from, you know what I'm saying. And it wasn't like the Maryland, it wasn't like the New York dude was disrespecting DC, but he was just like, yo, we just talking this New York shit, and niggas from DC wasn't having it, and they cranked them. So I remember that video. Let me see. Say, I have lived many places, and DC is one of the only places that really makes the distinction that if you are not from DC or live in DC, do not rep it, LOL, or you will be embarrassed. I mean, Nicole, you know what? I would have to laugh at that, but that is a true statement. That would be a true statement. Twin, what's up, Twin? That would be. Hey, Will, what's up, Will? And prime example. I got my man Will Andrews on here. You know what I'm saying? When me and Will met at Dale State, I think when I first met Will suggested by my tone or by my talk that I was from the South, because he was like, man, you got to be from the South. I was like, nah, I'm from DC. He was like, word? I was like, yeah. He was from Delaware. And I think that, just a mutual respect as men, when we start smoking, we start talking to each other, giving each other's little past history or whatever, and we just caught a bond just off, the strength of smoking, but, some familiarity with some of the things that happened in DC. He would tell me some things that were happening in Delaware. I'm like, damn, for real? And then I remember I used to travel into Dover and what is that? Bed, Delaware, Middletown or Middle something, Delaware. And I remember I used to ride around. I used to be like, damn, it's just country out here. You know what I'm saying? But it's a hood everywhere. It's always some place, somewhere where black people are struggling, regardless of what state it's in. But it's a lot of people, like I'm hearing right now, that if you are DC native, you can't rep DC if you not from DC, if that makes sense. I remember I was having a conversation with my man, and he was fucking with me, but he was like, you can't be talking about DC Slim, you from Maryland. And I'm like, yeah, I'm from Maryland now, but I'm from DC, born and raised. We'll make you from DC if you got a Maryland address, you got a Maryland license. I said, because my birth certificate is from the District of Columbia, from Greater Southeast Hospital. So that's why I got this Southeast symbol on my arm, because that's where I'm from. That's where I was born. That's where I was raised. That's where I got my manhood. That's where I caught my first charge. That's where I got a lot of first names, you know what I'm saying, in Southeast, you know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? I mean, Will, I'm telling the truth. So it's like when I hear people have this discussion about, you know what I'm saying, DC, Maryland, Virginia, it just made me think, like, what is the biggest similarity? And Nicole and Anika broke it down, I think, very well, to be specific in terms of the distinction of people that's from DC versus Maryland and Virginia. And even though, like I say, I've lived in Maryland now since 2005, 2006. And even living in Maryland now, the way gentrification is set up, it is like everything that was kind of in DC, the way they pushing it out. I remember even back in the day, they was moving everybody to like Landover. Everybody to like the Landover, Fairmont Heights area, Capitol Heights area. And then, kind of, switching up. And until today, they still doing the same thing. Because a lot of the families that was down in Bury Farms, where they put them at. Kentland, all the places that I just named. You know what I'm saying? 202, Landover Road, all that, King Square, all that shit. So it's not like, it's not a similarity of how people are raised or how people get down, how people get their money, how, food stamps, welfare, etc. But, there are some similarities, but I guess the most, significant similarity is that badge of honor saying, no, nigga, I'm from DC. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I think it's going to be an ongoing conversation. I just felt like, you know what I'm saying, I'm sipping, so I was like, let me start some dialogue to see, what that dialogue is. Say, hell yeah, Southeast was a eye-opener. Hoods are the same everywhere, just different niggas repping them. Yeah, and that's true. And I would have to say that's a true statement. But I will also say that, the dudes that came up Dale State that was with me from Southeast, All of us wasn't from Southeast. A lot of us grew up in Southeast, but all of us wasn't from Southeast. But majority of us came from Ballou Senior High School, and majority of us did grow up in Southeast. You know what I'm saying? Me, T-Man, DJ, my man Bird, Big Head Mike before he left. I mean, it was a lot of females too. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot of people from Southeast up there, and it was like a big, like, even I remember when Erica and them was up there, and Erica saw us, they was like, oh shit, they from home. And that was the term. When we was in Dale State, that was the term. We from home. But home could have meant you was from DC, Maryland, or Virginia. You from home. I was like, oh, okay. I get it now. But the more I hear people talking about it, the more I be seeing people on social media talking about it, it just make me wonder, you know, how do we lump it all together? You know what I'm saying? Because Baltimore is Baltimore. You know, DC is kind of DC. You know, PG County is kind of PG County. And then DC is still DC. So in Maryland, you got Baltimore County. You got Baltimore City. You got Arundel County. You got Cecil County. You got Oxon Hill, Fort Washington, Burnwood Heights, Blazeburg. You know what I'm saying? You got all these different little, you know, these little cities. But then in DC, you just got Northeast, Northwest, Southeast, Southwest. That's it. But in Maryland, like I say, you got all these different areas. Landover Hills, Landover, Kentland, you know what I'm saying? Washington View. I mean, when you go across the line, you know, a little further up, you know, you got your Bethesdas and Montgomery counties and all that. So you got, you know, Maryland is so spread out. So it's just like, how can Maryland be lumped with DC? It's just like, I mean, how do you do that? Nah, I just said Montgomery County. Oh, so you must grew. Anika, so you must, did you grow up in Montgomery County, Anika, for real? Because that was funny. You was like, don't be leaving out Montgomery County. But that's funny, though, because Logic is from Montgomery County, and I think he's from Gaithersburg. And I listened to that white boy. That white boy can rap, man. That white boy can really rap. And when you hear his music, you can tell that some of the struggles that, you know, people have everywhere, he had in Montgomery County. So it was like, it's not a big difference, but, you know what I'm saying, a little bit of a difference. A little bit of it. I mean, I would say that DC people got a little bit more of a badge of honor, you know what I'm saying, so to speak. But I think the more we get older, it's not necessarily where we from, it's more where we at. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a whole lot of people spread it out that grew up in DC, you know, the 4 sections, and now they live in Virginia, they live in Waldorf, they live in Bowie, they live in Brandywine, you know what I'm saying? They live wherever, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, when you ask them where you from, they gonna say they from DC. Even though they been, like myself, even though they've been living in Maryland or Virginia, wherever they've been living for however long, they gonna be like, yeah, I'm from DC. I mean, that's just what it is. And so I just was trying to figure out, you know, how that conversation looked. Because I know, she said, sure did. So I know that conversation is a little different than other conversations, but, you know, for the people who actually grew up in DC. I mean, even though they might live somewhere else now, I mean, shit, you can ask somebody who live in Atlanta, you know what I'm saying, where they from, and they gonna say, oh, I'm from DC. Even though they've been living in Atlanta for 4 or 5 years or whatever, DC niggas don't claim DMV. No, they don't. They don't. You right. DC dudes do not claim DMV. They do not do it. They do not do it. And I'm just trying to think of, you know, I like I said, I know my man Drain the Paint. If he was on here, he would definitely come on here and go live and say how he broke it down. But he made it universal. He made the term DMV universal. And he made it universal in a way where everybody that was from Maryland and Virginia felt included in that DC culture. Because now, when you use the word culture, it's like, okay, you know, Maryland people, they listen to go-go. They had go-go bands in Maryland. They had go-go bands from Virginia. I mean, I remember the first time I went to New Projects, I was just like, what the fuck? I remember my first I remember my first couple sales in new projects. I was like, oh, okay, just like being around the way. You know what I'm saying? But it was like being around the way, but it was still different though. Like even when I went to New Jersey, I remember I went to Linden. I had a homie who lived in Linden, New Jersey, and then we went down to Plainfield, and then we went to where Redman was from. I cannot remember if it was Trenton, but I remember I went to a couple hoods in New Jersey, and it looked similar, but the people and the way they dress, the way they talk, I was like, what the fuck is that? Oh, that's how we call each other. I'd be like, oh nah. Then they used to wear the do-rags and shit and the long ass t-shirts that look like skirts. I mean, even the dudes from Philly, they got a different swag. What they used to, I remember when we went to the little dance or whatever we called it for Dale State. They used to have the little man, look, when they got dressed up, them dudes from Philly, when they got dressed up and they used to wear the little stuff for the bed, I forgot what it's called. Man, I used to be like, Joe, your shit wasn't like with the little dye and shit on their face. Oh my God. And this joker's still doing that shit. But I'm just saying, I've been to a lot of different places around here. You know what I'm saying? Philly, New Jersey, Atlanta, Florida, New York, Boston. I mean, I remember I went to Boston with my man Smooth. And he lived in an area in Boston called Mattapan. I was like, what the fuck is a Mattapan? What the fuck is that? And when we went, I mean, this nigga Smooth ran the whole block. Niggas coming to give him money. He ran them up. I mean, shit was I was like, damn, okay, nigga, okay. But again, I'm in Boston. I'm in Massachusetts. I mean, it looked different, but it's like the same. So, you know, it made me think like, damn, you know, I can understand that term now. It ain't where you from, it's where you at. Because you ain't where you from. You somewhere totally different, so you got to fit in. But I can say for the majority of places that I've ever been, I've always stayed myself, and I always represented where I was from. Where you from, cuz? DC. Or what part of DC? Southeast. And I remember one time I was in New Jersey, in Franklin Park. When I had a girlfriend, I was living in Franklin Park with her, and I went to the barber shop, and Jahi came in the barber shop and shit, and whatever. And the barber was like, where you from? He saw me driving the Cadillac with Delaware tags, so he assumed I was from Delaware. I was like, no, I'm from DC. He was like, where at? I was like, Southeast. And as soon as I said Southeast, he was like, oh, I got an aunt. She live in Bury Farms. I was like, oh, shit. I was like, yeah, that's where I'm from, Slim. He was like, oh, I bet. And the New Jersey niggas in the barbershop was Jai hating. Like, why you talking to this nigga from D.C.? I was like, damn, like that. But, I mean, of course, I had my nephew with me, so I wasn't tripping. But I remember that moment, man, when I saw Jahi and him in the barbershop, man. And the barber, he was like, you know, showing me some love with the shape up, because I was like, yeah, let me get a shape up. He was like, a shape up? I was like, well, I just need a haircut. He was like, oh, an edge up? I was like, yeah, I guess an edge up. Yeah, whatever. So I was like, yeah, just give me an edge up. All right, so Jerome say, if you are watching the same news as DC when you turn on Fox 5, NBC, or any other news channel, you're considered as DMV. I like the term DMV because we all are connected when it comes to go-go. It's a lot of VA bands out here right now too. That's true. That's true. I would not dispute that. I would not dispute none of that. I mean, I got you. Like the term DC. I got you. I wouldn't dispute that at all. I mean, that's why I say it's a conversation. I'm from the farms. We can tell like any other niggas hood from DC. Yeah, that's true. That's true too. And so that's why I say it's gonna be an ongoing conversation. I mean, not saying ongoing, but it's gonna be one of them conversations that once you start it, it's gonna be a conversation that somebody gonna be able to give you terms and, you know, why they think it's different. I mean, it is what it is. And I know for me, I mean, it's just, I mean, it ain't like it's bad. It ain't like it's, you know what I'm saying? It ain't like it's bad. It's just the fact that, you know, it's different all the way across the board. You know what I'm saying? It's a little different. Cause I remember when I was in junior high school, I went to a junior high school called Rabault Junior High School. And it was in Northeast, I believe. Was that Northeast or Northwest? It was all South Dakota. So I would consider that Northeast, I think, because Coolidge was right down the street. So, excuse me. So it was like right there, Northeast, Northwest. And so I went to Rabault Junior High School, and I got a couple people on here that went to Rabault with me. And I was from Southeast. And so when I went to Rabault, everybody, my first couple weeks, knew I was not from uptown. Like off the break. I mean, just by what I wore and how I talked, they knew I wasn't from Northwest. And so I was like, how the fuck can you know I'm not from Northwest just by what the fuck I got on? Niggas was like, we could tell you ain't from up here. But it didn't change the fact that I could still blend in and still, you know, get a relationship with dudes from Northwest, because I left Rabault and then went to Roosevelt. And I was at Roosevelt for 2 years before I took my mandatory vacation. And then when I came back, Mr. Gill, at the time the principal of Rose, was like, man, look, I saw you on the news. You got to get about my school, man. Then we did some investigative work. We see that your address is in Southeast, so we transfer all your paperwork to Ballou. So they waiting on you. I was like, damn, Mr. Gill, I can't finish the year. He was like, no, sir. So I went back home to Ballou, and it was, you know, it was whatever from there. But I could just remember, man, you know, being uptown for a couple years. I mean, at least going to school, I was there. I was uptown for at least 3 years, 3.5 years before I, you know, took some time off and then went to Ballou. So I was uptown, and I was still getting love uptown though. I was, you know what I'm saying, even though I was the South Side dude, you know what I'm saying, I had the weed, you know, I always kept the weed with me. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I mean, I was doing my thing. Man, Big John. My man asked me how my medicine was. My medicine was on point. I used to work in that school, LOL Northwest. So you used to work in Rabault? For real? Diana Nicole, you used to work in Rabault? What year was you working there on Rabault? What year was that? What year was that, Nicole? Let me see if I miss anybody. Mark, what's up, Mark? Rashid, what's up, Rashid? There's a lot of y'all on here. Ricardo, Greg, Dirk, what's up, Dirk? Flat. Let me see. Miss Reed. Let me see. I like to think we are a big family, the DMV, especially when we were at Dale State. It's like we can talk about us, tease each other, compete, etc. But just like any family, don't let anybody else talk about us. You mean like other states? I would have to agree with that. Because I think when we start playing intramural sports, football and basketball, oh boy, it was all the local DC, Maryland, we all played together. I mean, it was a couple Bama's that wanted to have their own shit, and we let them have it. But when it came to Delaware and playing PA and playing New York and Jersey, I mean, it was definitely some competition, Slim. I would definitely give you that, G. It was definitely some competition. What's up, baby? Hey, Miss Reed, I need some help because I got the Secret Santa stuff right here. I think what I'm gonna try to do tomorrow is I'm gonna go buy a box. If I can buy a box, I'll just wrap it and bring it. But I'm not gonna be able to be there. So I can probably drop it off so y'all can give it to the person. I'll give y'all the person who it belong to, and whoever got me, y'all can just hold it for me because I think I'm gonna be out of town this weekend. But I'll let you know though. I'll call Big Mike. I'll call Mike and let you know. But I got I got what I had to buy though. I hated having to buy that shit. I really did. I'm glad ain't nobody see me buying that shit. But see, like Brandy lives in Washington State now, and she was in DC Southeast for a little while. So you know what I'm saying? It's just I just feel like the DMV thing and the way some of the people talk. You know what I'm saying? Don't laugh. It ain't funny. I told you what I had to buy. Don't laugh. Don't laugh. It's not funny. You know damn well I did not want to buy what's in that bag. And I told him I'm glad that bag was black. So people wouldn't be like, what the fuck you just buy? Because if people would have saw me buying what I bought, they'd have been like, Slim, what you doing? I'm like, listen, this ain't for me. Mind your business. But lumping everybody together, you know what I'm saying, in DC, you know what I'm saying, using that DMV term, I can understand where it get misconstrued because people sometimes say, oh, you from Maryland? I live in Maryland. I'm not from Maryland, you know what I'm saying? And I think like I was telling y'all with the tats, man. I mean, even this tattoo right here. So this tattoo, that's a tattoo of a hornet, right? And so this hornet represents two different things. This hornet represents Henley Elementary because the mascot for Henley was a hornet. And then this also represents DSU because DSU is the DSU Hornets. So I always try to put tattoos that mean a lot, like these. Of course I got the 6 right here, 6th Street. Then I got the 2 dice, the 5 and the 6, and then I got the, like I said, I got the Washington. Then I got the Blue Knight. Then I got Southeast right here. Then I got 295. So I mean, I represent where I'm from. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I think it's definitely a big difference. You know what I'm saying? Where you from? It's definitely a big difference. In terms of DMV and, what I mean, saying that you from DC or Maryland or whatever the case may be. Let me see. You be supportive of my sister Kenethia Austin, so I fuck with you. Yeah, I mean, hey Slim, listen. I mean, at the end of the day, Slim, like I told her, you know what I'm saying? When like I told her, I'll just share this quick story real quick. I remember I came home from work and I followed Trayon, and I got off work early one day, took a shower, smoked me a J, laid in the bed, and I watched this live feed, and the live feed was from right there, you know what I'm saying, where it all happened, a year prior. And so I watched it. I saw the ANC commissioner talking to the police and this and that. Y'all ain't had to shoot that man, this, that, and the third, but never knew what was going on. And then a year later, fast forward, I get some inboxes from her, and she was like, hey, I got your information from a friend of mine who went to Ballou. I went to Ballou when you was there. I was only there a year or whatever the case may be. But I got some information. They told me you had a podcast. I wanted to see if you can help me get some information out. I was like, all right, bet. So she sent me the information. I looked at it. I watched her interview on Channel 9. And then I watched some other commentary. And then I watched that live feed. And it brought tears to my eyes, bruh. I was like, hold up. I remember watching this. And it ended up being her son. So for me, she was a part of Ballou. Even though she left. And I think she went to Oxon Hill. She was still part of the Ballou family. I mean, because granted, I was up Roosevelt before I went to Ballou. So, you know what I'm saying? I still got ties from Ballou and Roosevelt. So it wasn't like I wasn't not going to, help her. But the fact that she was from Ballou, and I had saw this video and then it was her son, I just felt like I needed to help her. Like, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't for no notoriety. It wasn't for no, it was just like, I mean, the police treat us so fucked up. The mayor let so much shit slide. The chief of police let so much shit slide. I wanted to help her, man. And so we did the video, we did the interview, and I've been rocking with her ever since. Going to events, going down to the Wilson Building, listening to Charles Island. I've been shooting the video to everybody. You know what I'm saying? Vincent Gray, Trayon. I can't think of the name. I was shooting it to all the council members, and then to hear that the DC Council had emergency legislation for people to be able to request the body camera footage from DC police, I was like, wow. I mean, that video that I posted on my YouTube channel is up to 1,900 views now. So I had, I felt like I was obligated to help her, because I felt like that Channel 9 interview didn't serve them no justice. That I wanted her to be able to tell her story about her son Marquise the only way she could, like a mother. And so that's why, you know what I'm saying, I did what I did. And I will hold yours. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna drop it off. What I may do is I may drop it if I get a box and stuff tomorrow. I may call y'all tomorrow and just drop it off tomorrow and give y'all the person who I got it from, and then when I get back from out of town, I'll hit y'all up and come and get it. But whoever I bought this shit for, they gonna like it. But I couldn't believe I bought that bullshit. Coming from Brooklyn, they do lump y'all together up north. I know they do. You know what I'm saying? But I think, like my man was saying, when we got to Dale State, they clearly saw that it was a difference between DC dudes and Maryland dudes, because they were asked. They be like, well, where you from? Oh, I'm from Maryland. I'm from PG. Oh, where he from? Oh, he from DC. So it was a difference. It was a big difference. It really was. And I think that earlier somebody was saying that they wanted to, DC natives want people to know, now I'm not from Maryland. No disrespect to Maryland, but I'm not from Maryland. I'm from DC. It's a difference. So I think it is a bit of a difference. When someone asks where you from, are you referring to the place you're born or the place you grew up? Both. For me, it's both, because I was born in Southeast and I was raised in Southeast. So for me, it's both. I was born. I forgot what time it was. I think my mother said it was at night. I think she said it was at night, but it was at Greater Southeast Hospital right here on Southern Avenue, which is now UMC Hospital, but was formerly Greater Southeast. So that's where I was born. And my grandmother had a apartment right here off of 15th Street Southeast. That's where my grandmother lived, and my mother lived with my grandmother. So when I say I'm from Southeast, it's a big reason why this is all Southeast, because that's where I'm from. Now this is more spiritual, got my niggas and got all my spiritual stuff on this arm. But you know what I'm saying? Is that, I mean, I hope that answers your question. I mean, because when people ask me where I'm from, it's both. It's where I'm from and it's where I was raised. So it's both. It's a difference because we don't like to be lumped up. Each borough represents their own, and I learned that. I learned that because I hung out, like I said, I hung out with a couple dudes from Jersey. I hung out with a couple dudes that was from different parts of New York, Brooklyn, Manhattan, the Bronx. Because I thought Brooklyn and the Bronx was the same thing, but it's not. So Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan. I knew one dude from Staten Island. I know a couple dudes from Queensbridge. I mean, and when you watch, like Nas, Jay-Z, Biggie, now you got Dave East, Jadakiss, The Lox, you got all these other, Mobb Deep, you know what I'm saying? You got all these dudes from different boroughs, and I used to watch them, 50 Cent, I used to watch them kind of beef with each other. Like, nigga, I'm from, Queensbridge, or I'm from, you know what I'm saying? So I'm feeling that. So I think even up in New York, it was similar to the same thing. Because I remember when I used to go up there, the biggest similarity for me going to New York was their blocks were like, one of their blocks was like 5 or 6 of our blocks. I used to be like, God damn, like, I see why niggas out here getting money. These motherfucking blocks big as shit. So that's a big difference too. It's just like whenever I get asked where I'm from, from an outsider, I say Maryland, and immediately they think Baltimore. LOL, no, I'm from the other part of Maryland, closer to DC/Virginia. Even though I love my B-more folks, no, we are different. That's true. We are. We a lot different. We are a lot different. I mean, we are a lot different. Appreciate that, Holmes. Appreciate that. Yeah, Miss Reed. Yeah. So it's definitely a difference. I mean, I knew, I wasn't gonna take y'all whole night up, but I mean, since I'm sipping, I was like, let me just get on here and see how many people can come on and help me figure out what's the difference between the DMV versus DC, Maryland, and Virginia, because it's a big difference. And this shit that I'm drinking ain't helping. Like this shit is woo. Listen, if you drink Remy, if you drink Hennessy, if you drink like cognac type shit, and it's getting rough on you, this shit right here, if you buy this Douce, this shit is the smoothest shit that I've drunk cognac wise, other than Maison Serene. My man Tony Man used to get that shit for us. I think Tony Man told us it was like $175 a bottle or something. But this shit right here, this the smoothest shit out right now. If you like yak and you don't want all that burn, get you some Douce, man. Shit'll get you in the pocket real fast. It's super smooth. All I got in here is ice, and it melted, and I'm still drinking with no problem. And I might, after we get off this live, I got a nice onion or some medicine over there. I might go outside, even though I know it's cold as shit. I might jump in my truck and just do my back medicine, because I got some back medicine. But yeah, man, I'm glad y'all came through. I mean, I ain't really had too much to talk about, but I'm glad y'all came through, man. I ain't really want to talk about the Trump shit. That shit is what it is. I mean, we know what that whole situation looked like, and we know, for us that do know, we know that shit ain't over with. You know what I'm saying? That shit is not over with at all by a long shot. I mean, that shit is just getting started. I mean, it's it's moving in the right direction, but I mean, it's just not over yet. It's just starting. So there's a lot of people that's on TV talking about it or whatever. But before I go, cuz, what's up, cuz? But before I go, I do want y'all to think about, this human trafficking thing. And the only reason why I'm talking about it is because in the last 3 weeks, I've had people that I know that's close to my circle, had they folks almost kidnapped. Like literally. So, and when I did my research, if y'all go and listen to my my episode, I think it's let me see what number the episode is. Keon, what's up, Keon? What's up, player? I sold them ties today, Keon. I thought you was gonna come through, man. Little Mexican came through here, gave me top dollar for them Jones, man. So if y'all go to Real Talk with the 6thman, if I'm on 9 different platforms right now, including Apple Podcasts. If you go to episode 85, that's my human trafficking podcast, and I basically talk about some stuff that you might not know, you might not have known about. And one of the things was they talked about the top 5 cities that is happening in, right? And I'll give you 3: DC, Miami, Florida area, and Atlanta. Out of the top 5 cities, that's 3, that's where it's happening. And so for me to hear that human trafficking is on the radar in DC that much, we gotta be careful out here. I mean, I was just telling my man in an episode that I just recorded the other day that I had heard about the situation with the postal worker in Detroit. She was, on her route, and she saw this red van, and she was quick. She knocked on the people's door, asked her could she come in. The people, let her in, and not even a minute later, you just see this red van driving past they ring, and I'm just like, damn, yeah. And then this little girl up in Brooklyn who staged this kidnapping, it's like, that shit is no good, man, because you misrepresent what's really going on out here. It's a lot of brown people, male and female, being snatched up, and it ain't on the news. It ain't on TV. And here it is, we talking about the fact that it's not on TV, and you do this, and it's fake. I mean, Manpowers, they was putting up posters, Amber Alerts, all types of shit. And you did that? Like you like, this young girl don't even understand that she fucked it up for a lot of people, man. Because when that shit happened, it's like, oh, all right, so should we call? Should we post it? Should we say something? Or is it fake? It's like you cannot do that. And so my man Rashid and his co-host on his podcast was talking about it tonight, and was like saying what the punishment should be. And I was like, she need a couple years probation, where somebody got to really be in her shit for the next couple years, because she and the dudes who staged it with her and pushed her mother could have fell and hit her head, or anything could have happened. So I just feel like that's not a good look, man. And I just feel like, we got to watch out for our kids, man. We got to keep a bottleneck for our young ones, you know what I'm saying? Because this shit is crazy. But I thought I would just, talk about this human trafficking thing a little bit, because it's mean. But Keon, when you ready for some tires, just hit me, man. Let me know. Because the ones that I got on my truck now, I might lift the truck up 2 inches and put some 33s on my truck. So the ones that I just bought, you might can get these. And these that I got on my truck now is 285 70 17. So it's a little wider. The ride is real good. They much quieter because they ATs, they not MTs. So I'll let you know. Cause I saw this white boy today. His dream was, you know what I'm saying? So we get to rapping. He heard my pipes. He was like, oh, the pipes sound good. I said, yeah, I got the K&N filter on here. We talking. He was like, yeah, if you lift it up 2 inches, whatever. But if I do decide to switch out, Slim, the tires that I got on my truck, I just got them. Like they've been on my truck less than a week. So if I decide to switch them out within the next 2 or 3 months, I got you. Don't even worry about it. I will hold them specifically for you. But I got some other stuff working too, so I need to call you though, because I got some I'm letting some shit out now. I got all 3 of my logos digitized, and I'm getting ready to start merchandising. And I got a website, but I need somebody to help me with my website, because I don't know how to set it up. Like I got a Wix.com website, and I got a domain name which is at RealTalk 6thman. So I'm gonna link that to the website. So I got some stuff that I'm working on, you know what I'm saying? LLC. I got a lot of stuff that I'm working on, y'all. I just hope y'all continue to support me as much as y'all can, because I got a lot of stuff that I'm working on, man. We out here blessing the families that don't have much. We got some students from Ballou that we buying up some stuff for Christmas. Like y'all saw recently that we went down to Franklin Square and gave to the homeless. So we did that in November. For December, we adopted like 10 families, kids specifically, and they gave us a list of items that they wanted for Christmas. And I've already done that. I've already took care of the Christmas list for the kids. And so I'm just trying to be as much involved with the community as I can. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like this is the community that I grew up. This is the community where I came from, and I've shed a lot of tears in this community. I've heard a lot of families, along my way, and now I just want to be able to just give back, man. And I had a podcast with my man day before yesterday, and it's humbling to hear somebody tell me that I'm doing something great, I'm doing something good, keep doing what I'm doing. Like, people always tell me, man, keep doing what you're doing, and it's just humbling. I mean, sometimes, I get sentimental because it's just like I wasn't always, what I'm saying, I wasn't always this person. I was somebody who people didn't want to talk to. I was somebody who, if you saw me, you would cross the street. Like, literally, because you knew if I looked at you and I felt a certain type of way, you had no idea what I might do. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just happy that I'm in this mindset, and I'm not like that crazy dude that I used to be, because I could use the word crazy, because I was a lunchbox. I remember the first time my mother, I know I'm getting off topic now, but I remember the first time my mother came to court and the prosecutor was reading off the charges. And it was like 6 charges, and the main charge was attempted murder. My mother sat down. She was like, "Oh Lord!" And the judge was like, "All right, let's have a recess." And I remember looking back at her and her looking at me, and she just shook her head like, "Who are you?" And I couldn't explain it to her then, but that's why this whole conversation was about the DMV, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. And it's, what I'm saying, when I listen to old rap music like I do, Yuck Mouth, Scarface, 3-6 Mafia, a lot of that down south rap, even Belly of the Beast. They had a group in DC, Southeast, called Belly of the Beast. And it's just like, when you listen to a lot of that older music, it's like it talks about everything that you go through, in your environment. And I've been through, like, even my cousin Tylette, she on here right now. And she telling me she love me. I love you too, cuz. But even my little cousin, when I grew up, my family tried to get me as far away from my element as they could. And I still ended up, in the system, locked up, catching charges, dealing with bullshit, you know what I'm saying? And it's just the fact that, I hate to say product of your environment, but it's like, once you get involved with a certain type of lifestyle, it's hard to get away from shit that you're going to have to deal with. Because when you get involved with the street, it's so much that come with being in the street. It ain't just about making money. It ain't just about, selling drugs and getting representation. It's more to that. Because if you really getting money like we was, and if you don't handle yourself a certain way, niggas going to try their hand. Niggas going to try to rob you. Niggas going to try to... And I was somewhat of the enforcer. Like, I was still doing what I had to do, but if you came around our way and I ain't know you, and we out here gambling, and you come out your mouth wrong, who the fuck this nigga talking to, Slim? And that was me. And that's why I say, in one of my podcasts, I remember explaining to y'all that I went from Kevin to Capers to K-Dog. And now I'm back to Kevin again. Because when I was K-Dog, that was like when Menace to Society was out. And, unfortunately, in Menace to Society, what was Old Dog's name, real name in real life? It was Kevin. So, and my man, Big John, he just texted me. He gave me a nickname, Capers. And I'm not going to get into why he called me that, but y'all can figure it out. But, you know what I'm saying? I just feel like now, after going through a lot of that shit, and a lot of that shit being in D.C., it's a big difference between D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. I'm not saying that a lot of stuff that happened in Maryland don't happen in D.C., but it's just the fact that, you know what I'm saying, when you know where you from and you know what you've been through, it's a big difference. It's a big difference, man, between D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. Big difference. I mean, even though it's some similarities, when you go, like I say, I went to New Projects in Virginia. I was like, damn. I went to Washington View right here in near Landover. I was like, damn. And then go down Bury Farms and be like, damn, okay. But then I go out New Jersey to Trenton and Plainfield and Linden. I'm like, damn, okay, it's the hood. Then I go to New York, the Bronx, and go to Connecticut and go to New Haven, Connecticut, and then I go to Boston, Mattapan. I'm like, damn. So it's a lot of shit that's similar, but it's a lot of shit that's different. And that's why I feel like the conversation between Maryland, DC, Virginia is a lot different when people kind of identify where they from. And I just think about a lot of the stuff that I've been through and the stuff that I'm doing now. I'm just trying to switch it up, man. I'm trying to let people know that, you don't have to hide behind a facade. You don't have to feel no certain type of way if you trying to live your life the right way, because you can do it without, like, being a clown. Because right now, living your life the right way, what's my man Duval, who I'm living my best life, ain't going back and forth with you, nigga. I mean, that's what it is right now. I mean, if you living your best life, you got to live that life the best way you can, man. And you can't be worrying about what nobody else talking about. So if you out here trying to get your money, you trying to get your degree, you trying to, get your certificate, you trying to get your trade, fuck what everybody else talking about. Get your shit, man. Because right now, ain't nobody out here gonna help you do nothing but you. Can't nobody help you more than you. Ain't nobody gonna care about you more than you, man. So, the conversation started off with the topic of DMV, the difference between Maryland, DC, and Virginia. And then, went into, some of the stuff that I'm trying to do now, community-wise, LLC-wise, podcast-wise. So I'm doing a lot. I feel like 2020, I'm going to shock a lot of y'all. I'm doing a lot of shit behind the tables that I don't talk about, behind the scene. And y'all, when I come out with some shit, y'all going to be like, look at my man, Joe. My man really, you know what I'm saying? I mean, and every time I talk to people and they go on live, they be like, oh, that's not the podcast. I be like, nah, nigga, if you go to Real Talk with the 6thman, man, I got 87 episodes logged into my catalog. 87. Not 25, not 30, not 15. I got 87 episodes logged into my podcast, man. 87. Now all of them ain't the same. As you listen to all of them, you can kind of hear the progression, but 87, man, that's a lot of work. And my man was like, Slim, you been putting in some work, Slim. I'm like, I have. And it feel good to be recognized. It feel good to hear people say, you putting in work. I mean, because that's what you want to hear, because you've been putting in work. You've been putting in work. So, I mean, shout out to my man Keon. My man been putting in work with me. And I think when I talk to him offline, I got some other stuff for him, and I'm working on some logos and some other stuff. So I'm just telling y'all, man, just be looking out for me, man. I got some stuff that I want to work on, man. I got some stuff that I'm doing, but I just always tell people, man, this DMV versus DC, Maryland, Virginia shit, it's a difference, man, and it's a conversation. And I mean, tonight was just something slight, but I think I may do it on a bigger scale, may get a panel of people and just kind of talk about it, because it's a conversation, man. People that's from Eric, what's up, Eric? It's a conversation about people from DC, Maryland, and Virginia, and people want to know why we get lumped up together, and just want to know, what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I'm glad y'all came through for a little while. 10:40, yeah, it ain't too late. Hey E, they got me on here tripping, man. This motherfucker do say Slim. I shouldn't. Anyway, but yeah, man. Listen, all I'm gonna tell y'all is, man, be careful. The human trafficking shit is real. Watch your kids. Watch your loved ones. Watch the special women in your life, man. And even if they're not in your family, man, just keep your head on the swivel for people of color, man. Cause they fucking with us, man. So just stay on. Just keep your head on the swivel. Protect your people, man, and respect each other, man. Stop all of this beefing, this arguing, this looking up and down shit. Let's cut that shit out, man. Ain't nobody looking out for us. Can't nobody look out for us better than us, man. So let's try to, this impeachment shit is gonna be what it's gonna be. A lot of people feel like once it get to the Senate, it ain't gonna do shit. The inquiries that they voted on, that shit was on the House. That shit don't mean nothing. Cause once that shit go to the Senate, hey, it is what it is. E, what's up, E? Man, hey, E, you came to the tail end, but you know, if we start talking Slim, you know, we gonna start talking about brandy wine, being in the backyard like we thought we was junkyard. When we was in Antoine backyard, we had the motherfucking buckets. We back that motherfucker like we was junkyard for real, yo. That shit was crazy, yo. Oh my God, yo. Oh man, shout out to my man Mark Blair, man, on real estate, man. My man out here doing big things, Joe. Yeah, nigga, we used to get it in. Friday nights at the skate palace, Crystal Skate, Miss Hunter. Oh my God, nigga. Now you taking me down memory lane. Good Lord. Oh my God. I gotta get off here because I can keep going, man. I can keep going. Yeah, miss that shit, nigga. When we used to motherfucking get in there, turn around backwards. Yeah, man. Chicks used to be like, ooh, look at them. They know how to skate. Like, yeah. But yeah, man. All I'm saying is, man, we gotta protect, man. We gotta protect each other, man. You know what I'm saying? We gotta look out and we gotta just hook up, man. Like my man E always be talking about, man, we need to do like a reunion. And so, you know, we do, and I'm working on something, man. If y'all let me work, and if y'all patient enough, man, I got something that's gonna blow y'all mind. It's gonna. I went down memory lane and I came up with an idea, and when I get it all set, y'all gonna be like, damn, nigga, for real. And I ain't talking about no one day. I'm talking about a whole weekend, and we gonna do it every year. It's gonna be like the Steve Harvey, the Tom Joyner, but it's gonna be reasonably priced, and it's gonna be every year. And if I could do it every year, I want everybody to come out, man, so we can support. It can be DC, Maryland, Virginia, New Jersey, Dale State, whoever I know. We gonna party, man. We gonna party, man. We gonna party. So, just want to say Southside salute to everybody, man. And there's definitely a difference between DC, Maryland, and Virginia versus DC, Maryland, and Virginia. 6th man. Y'all be